Going to be a part 2 follow-up to the PSA rock that we have here. I did just get this firearm back from Palmetto State Armory for warranty work. They say that the follower of the magazine was binding up and there was nothing wrong with the gun itself. It was just a bad magazine. So the one magazine that shipped with the gun, what are the odds that that magazine is actually defective? So we're gonna shoot it. I have not shot it yet. They lubricate it, everything before they send it back. So with this new magazine they sent me, let's see if we can get through a full mag with no issues. So last time we got around this point before it started having hiccups. And locked back, magazine is empty. So that is a very good sign. I apologize for the symphony of the cicadas behind me. Hopefully the audio doesn't pick that up too bad. As if I haven't mentioned it yet, these are metal 23 round magazines. The FN57 had 20 round magazines in their polymer. They are a lot narrower, it feels like, and really just kind of a pain to load. The rounds feel very tight in there, and the 5.7 magazines are, in my opinion, great. But you know, you're looking at $25 for one of these magazines, and I can't remember what the FN magazines go for, but you know, guns like H&K, you're buying a more expensive handgun, you're paying like $50 for a magazine. So it's just one of those things that you have to consider. There is a trade-off between cost and the quality control. Here's another magazine. We moved up a little bit to 7 yards. I was about 9-10 yards last magazine. And I didn't really notice this last time in the part 1 when I shot this gun for the first time, but there's a very, very strong, just kind of blowing out the left side of the target. The sights might be off a little bit. I'm going to bring out the FN57. Again, I know that it costs twice as much, but it is the original handgun chambered in this caliber. So just for a baseline, for accuracy, I'm going to shoot 2 smaller targets with both handguns, and we're just going to compare the groups. Again, they're different operating mechanism. This is a striker-fired handgun. The FN has an internal hammer, and to be completely honest, I don't know what the Ruger or Smith & Wesson offerings use, if they're striker or if they're hammer-fired as well. So, well, sure didn't like that. I find on this gun, it is easiest to load the gun with the slide lock back, insert the magazine, then drop the slide. Unless I just used mad strength to shove an extra round in there, it didn't like that, and all today, anytime I've done that, that's caused an issue trying to feed it. So one little thing to note, I am about at 5 yards, and I'm going to shoot a very small target. I'm going to slow down a little bit, take my time a little bit more. the slide actually locked back, but we do have 1 round left in the magazine. That is the first time today that that has happened. I'll make a note of any other malfunctions, anything that I noticed with this gun. We'll talk about it a little bit more at the end. These sights definitely could be shifted a little bit. I would actually recommend getting different sights. I am not against 3-dot sights like this. They're very simple, low profile sights, but I find them not great to pick up. Again, I am a huge fan of the Trijicon HD night sights, whether it's daytime, nighttime, either the yellow or the orange, they're both great. I know they're a little bit expensive. Go to gun.deals and type in the SKU once you find it for what this model requires, and just look for the best deal. Can tell you right off the bat, these sights are just a little bit more accurate featuring. However, this is very interesting. As I was just talking about reliability, here is a malfunction with the 5.7. So we have this pointed in a safe direction. Round just fell out. That could be a magazine issue. I number all my magazines just so I can make note if this malfunction happens again and it's on the same magazine. I know that it's likely a magazine issue, so just a pro tip, buy some paint markers and try that out. But that's very odd. In the entire time I've owned this gun, it has only ever had 2 hiccups, and that is the second one. So now I'm just anxious about that happening again, but this gun is shooting very, very well. It just kind of, it does have a heavier trigger than the Rock, but it just feels so crisp to me that it kind of begs you to shoot it faster. All right, and that was 20. I might have been shooting that one a little bit faster. The group does still look nice. I'll throw those up on screen for you guys. But again, just a fun gun to shoot. I do have one more magazine loaded up for the FN57. And again, I'm just enjoying shooting this gun. So I'm at like 5 yards. I'm very close. I still have one of the other smaller targets left. It's the headshot target. So I'm just going to dump a magazine into that real quick. Despite the grip of this gun being significantly chunkier, you guys can look up the exact detail or the width, or maybe I'll show it side by side. It just is a little bit chunky and does not feel like the world's most ergonomic gun, but it doesn't feel bad either. But because there's no recoil, that's not really a downfall. It does have aggressive enough stippling that it does stay in your hand well, and it just feels really good to shoot. This was with the Rock. You saw how fast I was shooting, guys. I wasn't taking my time here. This group here was when I was standing at about 5 yards, taking a little bit more time. So as you can see, grouping relatively nicely, but it is all very strong to the left. And now we compare that to this target here on the far right. This is the FN57. I threw some low, but as we can see, its sights are pretty much dead on. Really, overall, guys, I'm happy with how that shot. If this group was moved over a little bit, honestly, it wouldn't be bad. And then just so you can see the headshot that was also at about 5 yards with FN57, again, shooting a little bit faster. Overall, Not my best group, not my worst group. Off camera, I went ahead and finished this box of ammo that I had. It was a Fiocchi range box, so about 150 rounds total. I had a few rounds of FN left over too, so I want to say I probably put another 200 rounds through this gun. Some of the things that I noticed is you basically have to run this gun as if you're running an MP5. What I mean by that is when you're inserting a loaded magazine, lock the slide back, then insert the loaded magazine and drop the slide. If you're out of ammo, this isn't a problem because the slide's going to lock back. You're going to do your reload and insert it on an open slide anyways. But if you're just starting your range day out, you have the slide forward like this, you take a 23 round magazine, put it in, you'll find that a lot of times it does not insert all the way. Even if I just hit the bottom of the magazine to get it to seat flush like this, what I did is I chambered around and then maybe I would shoot it and the magazine would actually fall out or just kind of hang there in this position. Or maybe it wouldn't actually chamber around at all and the magazine would fall out. Just a few things like that. Again, it's not a big deal, but just something to make note of, that these magazines are obviously pretty finicky. The gun design itself is not necessarily bad. Again, I mentioned some of my minor gripes. Me personally, I like the Surefire X300. That light just does not fit on this gun. I mean, it does, but my finger isn't long enough to reach the controls. They didn't put enough slots into this rail here, and it's just very funky and a very aggressively angled trigger guard here. So just kind of an odd decision. I'm not sure if these sights are shooting left or if I'm shooting left, but these sights really are not good. For $350 or whatever the blems and the sales usually have these at, this really is not a bad firearm. The ergonomics aren't bad. Again, it's very slim grip. It feels really good in the hand. You can get a good grip on it. I didn't put any tape on this, but if you wanted to put a more aggressive grip tape or something, I think that would feel pretty great actually. The factory trigger on here isn't bad. My biggest other complaint is probably this takedown lever here in the center of the trigger guard. But the FN, although it does have a higher price tag, I've been seeing a lot of rebates and stuff where you can get a Mark III, which is cut for a red dot and stuff, which this is actually not, for around $900, which I know it's a lot of money. It's a lot more than this, but still, that's not a bad value for how well those guns do shoot. I'll be completely transparent with my Mark II. I found that used for, it was $600, $700, something like that. I remember just a few short years ago, you could never find a used 5.7 of any kind for under $1,000. Now again, we're talking about the PSA Rock here. So at the end of the day, I cannot recommend this gun if you plan on using it for self-defense. If this is a range toy for you or just something that you want to add to the collection, I say by all means, be aware of some of the little quirks and some of the limitations of this platform, but I would not carry this. I would not trust my life to it. But no, even if you do have some quality control issues, PSA will take care of you. So I know I've talked a lot about this, and I hate to break this video up into two parts like this, but I really wanted to be thorough in this testing. And even though it was just a silly magazine issue that was causing those malfunctions, at the end of the day, you are the consumer. If you're the one buying this, you could have had the same experience as me. And I know that I have a lot of bias towards FN, HK, stuff like that. But again, I've just not had really any issues with those manufacturers or with those guns, and they've always treated me super well. Everything has quirks. It's up for you to decide. I'm just trying to put the information out there, and I really hope this helps some of you make a better